We are now over halfway into 2024, and whilst it feels a bit slower than last year in terms of releases, there have still been some brilliant games this year, so I decided to round up the 5 that I have enjoyed the most thus far. So let's start with number 5. This one was a major surprise for me. I had no idea it was even existing, but everyone that played it said it was great, so I thought, why the hell not, it's not even that long. Animal Well provides a creative Metroidvania experience. The core gameplay loop is generally just wander off in any direction until you can't anymore. You'll eventually find an item that will allow you to proceed through a different area. So you do that until you get another item, and so on and so on. You know what a Metroidvania is. As far as I can tell, you can do this in any order that you see fit. It's very exploration based with very little hand holding. The items you acquire often have multiple uses, and it's up to you to figure out those uses. The atmosphere is the real highlight here though. The art style is brilliant, it's simplistic, but it's very nostalgic. It can also be pretty scary at times, with some very stressful moments that require you to really focus. Animal Well was a nice surprise, and I'm glad that I tried it out. I didn't expect much from Still Wakes the Deep, but it didn't take long for it to sink its teeth into me. The game takes place on an oil rig where a tentacle-like creature is causing havoc and killing your crewmates. The game is very on rails, but the story is brilliant. The Scottish voice acting is phenomenal. They really managed to capture the Scottish chemistry between the characters. It really wears its influences on its sleeve. You can clearly see the influence of The Thing, especially in this game. The gameplay itself is pretty limited, mostly climbing over stuff and moving it around, or hiding and running away from creatures. But it was still a brilliant experience. I did it in one sitting, as I just couldn't put it down. In terms of the horror level, I've played many games that are much scarier than this. You could count on both hands the amount of times you are actually in danger from monsters, but those moments are still creepy, the atmosphere is still great. I feel like if you were somebody that wanted to get into horror games, I think this would be a brilliant place to start. If you're somebody that's played a lot of horror games, then it probably won't do much for you, but there's still a brilliant story to experience here, and the kind of gameplay that you've played before. I would very much recommend Still Wakes the Deep. Only on sale though, because it's £30. What the hell's that about? Stellar Blade was a great time. The combat is excellent and the open world is rewarding in its exploration. It does have problems though. The story and voice acting are horrendous, but everything else works brilliantly. The combat is deep with a bunch of abilities and counters that are easy to incorporate into your arsenal. The enemy attacks are easily telegraphed and it's very easy to recognise what you should do next, and at times the game can really look gorgeous. I wish it had a better story, because otherwise it had all the components to be a brilliant game, even if it does lean into its inspirations a bit too heavily at times.
Hi everyone, this is me. Look how cool I am. Just wanted to take a 15-second break from the video to say that if you're enjoying the video, then please consider taking a look at some of the other videos on the channel. If any look interesting to you, check them out. You'll be doing yourself a favour if you really think about it, and then subscribe while you're there. I would love to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I'd really appreciate it if you stuck around as long as you enjoy the content. I even have a playlist on the channel for what I think are some of my best videos, so they're easy viewing. Thanks guys, back to the video.
I was waiting a while for this one, and I was mostly impressed. The scale of the game is just insane. It was awe-inspiring to see some of my favourite locations in gaming brought to life. Some of my favourite characters getting their time to shine. It was amazing. The combat is fantastic, with so many systems running simultaneously. The party system is great. Each character plays so differently to each other that you'll want to experiment with as many party combinations as you can. In true Final Fantasy fashion, the boss battles and music are legendary. It really gets the blood pumping. The music, as I mentioned, phenomenal. The presentation, brilliant. The actual boss fights themselves, very, very good. The only criticisms that I do have of Rebirth is that they overuse Sephiroth and he somewhat loses his threat because he's there like all of the time. They also botched the ending completely. Like, if you've played the original Final Fantasy VII, you have a pretty good idea of where this one's going to end, and you're probably pretty skeptical as to how they were going to handle it. I will tell you, they handled it very poorly, but other than that, this game was phenomenal. A true Game of the Year contender by the end of the year, I am sure. I am a huge Yakuza fanboy. I have played all of the games, and I was massively excited for Infinite Wealth. The fact we were leaving Tokyo for the sun-soaked Hawaii had me drooling. I think this game is definitely an improvement on the previous entry, Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon. The combat is much better, being able to move around the combat arena adds a tactical edge that the previous game was lacking. There's a bunch of customization options in terms of builds, the job system works a lot better here with much more viable options, the setting is absolutely gorgeous, the minigame storylines are fantastic, there's a Pokemon style minigame where you collect people and face off against other people who are also collecting other people. There's an Animal Crossing style mode that is so damn addicting, I didn't actually leave the island until I'd finished it as soon as it becomes available. I was just there, playing Animal Crossing in a Yakuza game. The story starts off great with a brilliant hook, and the midpoint of the story is where it shines the most, but once you get into the third act, it does falter a little. With such a large cast, too many characters don't have satisfying arcs, and Ichiban's constant naivety and overly positive attitude to people who are directly evil to the bone, it grows tiring, and needs to be addressed in the next game or is going to feel too much like a cartoon. But that aside, this game is majestic. I put 100 hours in, I got the platinum, trust me, I said I was a fanboy and I was not lying. I loved it all. It's a top 3 Yakuza game for me, and one of the best games I've played all year, and the best game I've played all year that released in 2024. So, those were the 5 games I've enjoyed the most so far this year. What games have stood out to you? Please let me know in the comments, and if I've not played them, I will check them out, but for now, that is all from me. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, so it would greatly help me out, and if you want to see more videos from me, I upload videos every single week, but yeah, see you next time. Have a nice day and goodbye.